You are the king. Your duty is to take a new wife.
I have decided to name a new heir.
I'm your heir.
War is afoot.
Do you think the realm will ever accept me as their queen?
Put the Targaryen brothers together.
Oh, yeah, I've never... Yeah, the Targaryen brothers.
That's the name of the band.
Yeah.
We're the Targaryen brothers. Round two.
So I have to ask, because everyone's going to want to know, Matt, the kudos of the first sex scene goes to you.
Well,
Knowing...
The kudos of the next sex scene will not go for me.
Knowing Game of Thrones history and how they're known for being so racy, did you feel any pressure kind of having to film that or go into that scene?
I think you always feel a pressure doing any of all those scenes because, you know, you've got no clothes on and there's like 50 people staring at you and, you know, they always feel a bit weird. But no, because she was so fabulous, Sonoya, and, you know, we just kind of developed it like a dance, and if you can call it that. So no, it was part of the story, and I knew that was the gig, really.
Yeah. So your character has this really amazing scene, well, I say amazing, it was brutal and bloody, with the gold cloaks where he's punishing the criminals. And he does it with such a coolness and like, almost like he's taking pleasure in the power that he's getting from it, which is completely opposite to Ned Stark in episode 1 of Game of Thrones, where he punishes the deserter, but he feels regret and remorse. How does it feel kind of filming that scene and getting into the mind frame from that? And what can you tell us about what that means about your character, Damon?
How does it feel? Well, it was like 5 in the morning in Spain. I was just really tired and I was thinking, fancy that breakfast that's coming my way. But I think, the mindset of it is, I think Damon thinks like he's actually doing the right thing. I think he feels like there's a strange morality to him and he thinks, right, I'm going to go out and punish these people and show everyone that I'm being diligent about this. And yes, I'm pushing the envelope a bit, but I don't think it's just gratuitous violence from his point of view. But I do think there's a part of him that probably enjoys it.
Yeah, there's a little...
There's a sadism in there somewhere, yeah.
Paddy, your scene where your wife is giving birth, that really brutal, bloody cesarean that happens, and then it's at such juxtaposition with the tournament that's going on outside.
Yeah.
He makes this decision and he almost picks the throne and succession over his wife.
Yeah.
And it all ends badly. How do you think that will shape your character going forward?
Yeah, he never, ever recovers from that. That stays with him for the rest of his life. Like choosing, the realm over his wife, choosing his duty, is something that he never recovers from. And it's something that informs a lot of his decisions going forward, throughout the series. But I think for him, that's the one thing that, that he can never quite come back from, is making a choice like that to choose the realm over the potential of his wife's survival.
Yeah. It's such a poetic and beautiful scene. Have you actually seen it back?
Yeah, we watched it, and when we were over in Los Angeles for the screening there, yeah.
What was your reaction when you both saw it?
I thought it was hard enough to shoot on the day. And I never saw it intercutting with the tournament in that way, with all that sort of violence, but it was violent. Sometimes like birth is violent, it's certainly visceral. I watched my wife 3 births, and they're all different and they're all sort of, in their own way, they're all pretty sort of violent in a strange way. But I think that Sian was fantastic, the actress that played Emma. And they were just really long, emotional days. They were a lot more emotional than you actually see in the final thing. I remember like Viserys gets pretty distraught at the end of it. And I don't know if you were allowed to see him that distraught, but it got pretty heavy. But the physical work was all on Sian, really. It was
so amazing for Sian, who, because it's one thing when you're in the show for like 8 months.
Yeah.
But for Sian, who's there
came for about a week.
A finite period of time, having to sort of, it's exposing. She did so brilliantly.
We had to fast track that relationship really, really quickly.
It was incredible.
Luckily, I wish she was around longer.
Helping through the season.
Yeah.
So the scene where Viserys is confronting Daemon about him celebrating his son's death. It's so full of context, it's so layered. What can you tell me about the brothers' real relationship and what that scene meant to both of them?
Do you want to go first, Matt?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I just think, again, I don't think Damon said it it's like, from his point of view, he's not saying it in a bad way when he's in the pub or in the broth or whatever, and he's talking and the reason he's in trouble. I think with Damon, again, there's just this sort of very deep love for his brother. And I think there's a strange sort of fragility to him. It's all about acceptance, and he's cross. He's annoyed at his older brother for ruling like this and not accepting him. And so I think they're all genuine concerns. I don't think it's particularly histrionic from him.
No, and I think Viserys is torn between being a brother and being king. But I think that, if it was anyone else who'd uttered those words, they'd be dead.
Head would roll.
But I think, Viserys, again, it's the guilt he feels for making the choices he makes in the first episode. And I think sometimes Viserys perceives Daemon as somebody that abuses his position quite a bit, abuses his privilege a little bit at times, whereas Viserys doesn't have that sort of gene in him, really.
No.
He doesn't abuse his position as king in any way, and I think sometimes Viserys feels that Daemon gets away with things because he is the prince.
Yeah.
And ironically, Daemon's like, why can't you just get away with things with me?
Yeah.
Why can't because there was a time when they used to go out together. They were more equal, weren't they?
Yeah.
Not equal, but
Go out clubbing.
Go out clubbing and that. Down the old flea bottom and that, you know what I mean? Get the tunes on.
But I think it's that. I think, at one point the relationship was very, very different between them. But now he's king and he has duties, so... and he's always defending Daemon in the council chamber.
Yeah, he does. He tries.
They want him gone, and I'm always defending him and trying to find excuses and give him other jobs.
Give him other jobs. Let's get him down to washing.
Let's get him washing up this time.
Obviously, we don't get much from your character besides the tournament where he's fighting Daemon. It seems as though he's coming with something to prove, or he's trying to make a name for himself. Can you tell us the significance of that scene?
Yeah, I think that he has entered this tournament. I don't know that he has grand designs to sort of become what he might become, but I think that it's from a fighting perspective, it's the biggest tournament that exists. It's the tournament for the heir to the king. So there's definitely a feeling of like the stakes are highest here. And obviously fighting against Daemon, who's very much touted as the greatest fighter in King's Landing, I think to him that's like the perfect matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you think he feels when he actually triumphs in that moment?
I think he feels pretty good about it.
Yeah?
I felt pretty good about it. Beating Matt Smith up, I felt good about it. Yeah.
How did Matt Smith feel about that?
I don't think he felt very good, I can tell you now.
Can you tell us anything about Sir Criston Cole, why he's come to King's Landing, and why does everybody seem to be so surprised that he's Dornish?
Well, I think that, if you read the books and look at the original show, the Dornish are very much looked at with sort of disdain, and there aren't very many Dornish people in King's Landing, and let alone Dornish competitors in tournaments where you need to be, of a noble house, and he isn't of one. So I think that it's kind of the double whammy of not only is he not from a noble house, but he's also Dornish, and he is the only Dornish character in this show. So I think it's that feeling, really.
Yeah. And then he tries to make a connection with Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Especially from his background, not being a nobleman. What is he hoping to achieve there, or what's happening? Does he want to actually make a connection with her, or to further his own gain, or is it something that happens organically?
No, I think he's certainly aware that she is Daemon's niece, and also, the princess of the Seven Kingdoms. So I suppose there's almost no one who could be of kind of more importance for him to... I think it's very much a showman thing, rather than it is him sort of establishing a deep connection with her.
Okay.
But I definitely think he's aware that she's incredibly beautiful, and obviously Alicent's favour's already been asked for by Daemon, so, I think it's, a bit of that.
Things do progress between them if it's going via the way of the book.
Is that what you've heard?
Oh, that's what I've heard.
Well,
what can you confirm?
I cannot confirm or deny anything that you've said, but I mean, you've obviously done some research. I cannot confirm nor deny this. I'm sorry.
What is the most interesting thing about playing your character?
That's a good question. I think the fact, I was talking about this earlier actually, I think that he's so isolated from this world and the decadence of this world, and he's of another world. I mean, he's like fought in war, and he comes from a low-born family, and I don't think that any of this world to him is of importance, certainly at the beginning when you meet him. And he's the only character really like that. I don't think he plays the game that everyone else is playing.
Right, okay.
There's a sense of pride and a sense of ambition possibly, but I don't think he has any grand designs to sort of be a part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I think he thinks it's a bit of a charade, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously Game of Thrones has a huge, huge fan base. Was there anything that you were conscious about portraying authentically, or that you were worried about perhaps maybe getting a little bit wrong?
Yeah.
Everything.
Absolutely everything. I think that the main thing was the fighting for me, because it's, when you're being touted as like the best fighter in the Seven Kingdoms, you're kind of like, okay, I don't know how to do that. So I just worked as hard as I could with the stunt team, who were like amazing and like very much guided me as to trying to make me look that way. I don't know how well I did, but there's a really good stunt coordinator, Rich, who I think will have helped me maybe look better than I would have.
I think he would be proud. I think he would be proud of what you did.
Much. Thank you.
Have you seen any of it back? Have you watched the first episode?
I've watched the first episode. I watched it once. I'm waiting to watch the rest. I want to watch it when it comes out.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I don't think I want to all just watch it in my house. I want to see it like, as it goes. Yeah. How I would if I was watching it anyway.
Yeah. Were you a massive fan of Game of Thrones in the past year?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
So how did it feel kind of eventually coming into this role, like when you got the call back for it?
It felt like, obviously like really amazing and completely surreal, but it feels so different as a show to the original show. It's a completely different cast and a completely different story. So it felt like I was going into a different thing. Yeah. It's only now, as it started to come out, that I've sort of married everything together and gone, oh shit. Like when you see that and it says Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, then you're like, oh well, okay, it's Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon.
Back.
Yeah. But I think otherwise for me it's like just House of the Dragon.
Yeah. What episode are you most looking forward to? I know you can't tell me anything about it.
Yes, I can give you an episode number.
Yes. Which episode are you like, yes, this is the one that I feel that you should watch out for?
5.
5, okay. Yeah. And which one are you most proud of being a part of?
All of them. Yeah. There's not like, I mean, again, because I haven't seen it, I don't know how they're going to turn out, but they were, and actually the later episodes are amazing because it was a whole new cast of actors came in, so it was a really nice feeling when it was like that all these actors that hadn't been a part of the journey for the first 8 months came in, and they were just like such a ball of energy and so excited and really, really talented. So any of the later episodes as well.
And what was it like when you told your family you were going to be a part of Game of Thrones?
They were baffled. They couldn't believe it. They were like, "No, you're not." They were really like, just I think very, very happy for me. And my mum hadn't watched it. She's watched it now, so that she can talk to me about it. And my brother was really he couldn't believe it.
As the shows are both so different, what do you think fans' reaction will be to House of the Dragons?
I hope that they feel like we've done justice to what Game of Thrones did, because so much work has gone into make this show. Exist, and so I feel that I hope that they have the same amount of love that I had for Game of Thrones for ours, but you just never know, Yeah.